Welcome to another video. For those of you who are new, my name is Nina and I'm a life coach that specializes in personal development. Here at this channel we talk about everything having to do with self-transformation and living our best life possible. If you aren't already a member of our community, please take a moment and subscribe because we definitely don't want you to miss a thing. So today we have a really interesting topic, which is how to stop doing things purely out of guilt. So before we can really get to the bottom of how we can actually stop doing things out of guilt, we have to take a look at whatever our circumstance is and determine if guilt is really what we're talking about. A lot of times we're actually talking about fear. Now there's really two different types of fears that we could be facing when we are thinking we want to do something out of guilt. The first one is that we have a fear that we're going to look like a bad person. Now the second fear we could be facing is that the person that is wanting us to do whatever it is we don't want to be doing has a love for us that is conditional, that their acceptance is riding on whether or not we do the thing that they want us to do. So if those fears are not holding us back, chances are that we are really faced with a degree of guilt, and we'll talk about that as well. But let's start by looking at all three possibilities and seeing how we can walk through each one to make the best decision for us. So let's start with that fear of looking bad. The first thing we need to ask ourselves is this something that I actually care about? Or is my entire motive just not looking bad? And going along with that, is this something that is actually really going to make me look bad? Or is this a story that I am telling myself? So that's something we have to really kind of dig deep and see if this is some kind of really surface fear, or if this is something that is really true. Are we actually going to look bad? And going along with that, if it is that we really are going to look bad in some way, what are the real and actual repercussions of not going along with it? In many of the cases, it's really just our ego trying to control the situation. We want to control how we are perceived by other people. So there may not be real repercussions at all. It's just the fact that we want to make sure that we look as good as possible to every single person, which is not going to be possible no matter what we do anyway. Now, going with our next potential fear, which is that if we don't do whatever it is that the person that is wanting us to do this has a conditional love for us or a conditional acceptance of us. So again, the first thing we're going to need to ask ourselves is this actually true? Are they going to stop loving us, liking us, or accepting us if we don't do this? And if the answer is yes, how fair is that? Is this a relationship that is a functional, healthy relationship where we should care about what they think if their acceptance of us is so conditional? Now, of course, it is more complicated when it is a family member or someone that is extremely close to us, but it is still something that we need to pay further attention to, because we can't have relationships in our life that are really one-sided in that way. There has to be some kind of balance. So we need to really look at that question and see, are they really going to not accept us anymore if we make that decision? Some of the other questions we have to ask ourselves in this situation is if this is a reasonable request, and also is following through with this going to cause us to feel some kind of regret, or is this going to harm our lives in some way, or is this something that could actually be good for us? Another thing to consider is if the person that is asking us to do this has some kind of knowledge that we don't have. Are they offering insight to the situation that might actually be valuable to us? And on the flip side of this, could it be that their own life experiences, their own pain, insecurities, and setbacks be actually swaying them to want you to act in that certain way? So these are all the things that we really have to weigh when we're feeling that condition on that love or acceptance. So if we've determined that it is definitely not fear, but it is actually guilt that is making us want to make a decision, there are two different things that could be at play here. And the first one is that it's our moral compass. So guilt is a cloudy emotion, but it can also be a very useful emotion because it can be pointing us in the direction of our own values and our own morality. So a lot of times it really is that little voice inside of us that is telling us that we need to be doing something, because that is much more in line with who we really are as people. And if we're considering the alternative, that might be why we're having guilt, because there's conflict between how we really are as a person and how we are acting at that moment. So when that's the case, we just need to determine if this is something that is in line with our values that we really should be doing. We just didn't feel like doing it, but really we know deep inside this is a decision that's important for us to take. And the second thing that could be going on with guilt is that we feel like we should be doing something, but it's actually not our problem. So if you're feeling like that might be really what the possibility is here, there's some questions we can ask ourselves to kind of confirm this. And the first is this something that's going to actually be healthy or helpful if I am the person to take care of this? Is it appropriate for me to be the one to take action here? Or is this something that I feel that somebody should be doing and no one else is stepping up to the plate? And in that case, we need to ask ourselves, is this important enough to me to make this sacrifice? Is it pure guilt, or is there a personal importance to me that I actually carry through with this? And in this circumstance, we have to consider the possibility that we actually do need to walk away from this. We could be the most wonderful person in the world, but that does not mean that we have enough emotional energy to solve every single problem or take action in every single activity that comes our way. So these are all the things that we need to consider when we are feeling that tinge of guilt and we're feeling that we may be trying to make a decision purely based on that guilt. So hopefully we can use this as a resource to kind of walk ourselves through this process and get to the bottom of what is actually going on. The most important thing is that we are the ones that are truly making the decision. We must become the author of our life, because only we know what is important to us and what the design of our life really should be in the end. So I hope this was helpful for you. If it was, please like this video and share it with someone else who may need to see this message today. Also, if you aren't already a subscriber, please take a moment to go ahead and become one, because we definitely want you to be a part of our family. I thank you so much for spending time with me today, and I look forward to seeing you soon. Have an amazing day.